Between 1941 and 1945, the world witnessed one of the darkest chapters in human history. This wasn't a natural disaster or a sudden tragedy of war. It was a carefully planned, systematically executed genocide. This event is known as the Holocaust, the murder of 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, by Nazi Germany and its collaborators. It wasn't chaos or madness. It was organized cruelty, powered by ideology, obedience, and silence. The Holocaust forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. How did ordinary people become part of something so extraordinarily evil? It didn't begin with gas chambers. It began with words. After World War I, Germany was humiliated, economically broken and angry. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party exploited this pain, blaming Jews for Germany's defeat, economic collapse, and social problems. Jews were portrayed as parasites, traitors, and enemies of the nation. This propaganda was everywhere in newspapers, schools, films, and speeches. In 1935, the Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of their citizenship and basic rights. They could no longer marry non-Jews, hold certain jobs, or even call themselves German. Step by step, they were pushed out of society, isolated, and dehumanized. Because once people stop seeing others as human, anything becomes possible. In November 1938, this hatred turned violent. During Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, Jewish homes and businesses were destroyed, synagogues were burned, and thousands of men were arrested and sent to concentration camps. Glass covered the streets like shattered lives. The world watched, and for the most part, the world did nothing. This silence encouraged the Nazis. They realized they could go further, much further. When World War II began in 1939, Nazi control expanded across Europe, and millions more Jews fell under German occupation. At first, the Nazis forced them into ghettos, sealed-off areas, plagued by starvation, disease, and extreme overcrowding. Families were crammed into tiny rooms. Food was scarce. Death was a constant presence. But even this was not the final plan. By 1941, the Nazi leadership had decided on what they called the final solution: the complete extermination of the Jewish people. Not exile, not imprisonment, extermination. The killing began with bullets. Special Nazi units called the Einsatzgruppen followed the German army into Eastern Europe. Their job was simple and horrifying: round up Jews, march them to forests or ravines, and shoot them into mass graves. Men, women, children, babies. Places like Babi Yar in Ukraine, where over 33,000 Jews were murdered in just 2 days, became symbols of this mass slaughter. The killers were not monsters from another world. They were soldiers, clerks, and neighbors. Many went home after shooting civilians and ate dinner with their families. Mass shootings, however, were considered slow and psychologically difficult for the killers. The Nazis wanted something more efficient. That's when the extermination camps were built. Places like Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec were not labor camps. They were factories of death. Trains arrived daily, packed with people who had been lied to, told they were being relocated for work. Upon arrival, Families were separated in seconds. Nazi doctors decided who was fit enough to work and who would die immediately. The elderly, the sick, and young children were sent directly to the gas chambers. Victims were told they were going to take a shower. The doors were locked, and poison gas filled the room. Within minutes, thousands were dead. Their bodies were burned, their ashes scattered, their names erased. For those not immediately killed, life in the camps was slow torture. Prisoners faced constant starvation, brutal beatings, forced labor, and rampant disease. Some were subjected to horrific medical experiments. People were reduced to numbers tattooed on their arms. Hope was dangerous, and kindness was rare. Survival often meant watching others die. Yet even in this hell, some humanity survived. A shared piece of bread, a whispered prayer, a moment of silent resistance. And despite the overwhelming terror, resistance did exist. Some Jews revolted inside the camps and ghettos, like the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of 1943, where poorly armed fighters held off the Nazi army for weeks. Others, non-Jews, hid their Jewish neighbors, risking their own lives. Ordinary people, farmers, teachers, workers became heroes by choosing compassion over fear. They remind us that even in the darkest times, we still have a choice. By 1944 and 1945, Allied forces began liberating the camps. What they found shocked the world. Walking skeletons, mass graves, and mountains of shoes, hair, and personal belongings. The scale of the crime was undeniable. 6 million Jews were dead. Millions of others Roma, disabled people, Poles, Soviet prisoners of war, and LGBTQ individuals were also murdered. The survivors were left with unimaginable trauma, profound loss, and a world that could never truly understand what they had endured. The Holocaust was not inevitable. It happened because hate was normalized, lies were repeated, power went unquestioned, and too many people stayed silent. It teaches us that evil doesn't always arrive screaming. Sometimes it arrives wearing uniforms, following rules, and asking people to just do their jobs. Remembering the Holocaust is not just about the past. It is about the future. Because when we forget, history doesn't just repeat itself. It gets worse. Thank you for watching.